Hi, my name is Maggie. Welcome to my channel. My channel is called My Scattered Brain, and there's a lot of good reasons for that. Currently, I was tagged by Susan at I Totally Love It to join in on the hashtag Give a Scrap. It's a hop for 2025. The event is hosted by Angela at the Traveling Crafter, and there seems to be a lot of names that I don't know that have been tagged. Um, so that's going to be fun to explore everybody's challenge and everybody's videos and channels and see what they do with the challenge and do some subscribing. So I want to preface this by when I heard about this challenge, I jumped right in. So what do you know? My scattered brain did not charge her laptop before she started recording. Okay, so I jumped right in and I started trying to make something that I had in my head. Now, the Give a Scrap Challenge is where you're going to use something that you might throw out, or you might just have little bits and pieces of some type of scraps that you have, and you're going to use that and show how you usually create with it. Okay, so I am a stickler for packaging. I love packaging. I think that a lot of times you'll buy something because of how it's packaged. So I save a lot of the little, um, the little things that come on in packaging, boxes and hangers and things like that. So I started to do something I had in my head. And, in the long run, I did a lot of stuff that I didn't end up using. I did a lot of stuff that ended up not making any sense with the final product. And I'm going to try and leave a lot of that in there without being too boring or too confusing because I'm not an expert. I'm sitting here figuring it out on screen. So I want you to be prepared for that. I don't subscribe to that my videos got to be perfect because they never will be. And I don't subscribe to a creation has to be perfect. Um, I'm not totally sure about this, but I think that the Amish, when they make a quilt, they make one square that is imperfect because what they say is that the only perfection is God. And so they make sure that there's an imperfect square because none of us are ever as perfect as God. And so, um, you know, I think that's a wonderful sentiment. I just basically know that I'm never going to do anything perfectly. I really admire people who can do things very concisely and measure. You'll see, measuring just confuses me. So I just wanted to warn you that what I start out with is nothing like what I end up with. And I hope you stay to the end because I do want to kind of make sure that I sum it up with my general intention and maybe give you some ideas for what you can try. And I think it's in the trying that we figure out, oh, this is a neat thing that I want to do over and over, but maybe in a different way, or I'm never going to try this again, or this is now my favorite thing to do. And I think we all do that when we watch fellow creators um, who have figured it out. Um, and then they give us the recipe. And then that's really what it is. It's like a baking recipe. Oh well, here's your basic recipe and what you want to do. But I've gone ahead and added, a little more cinnamon and a little less salt or whatever. And so in that way, each of the things that we create is our own, and we can share that. And you know, I always think, oh, I thought of something new, and then there's nothing new under the sun, but there is definitely nothing else is the way you do it, and that's what we should all be embracing, and we should be uplifting each other over, that type of philosophy. And the crafting community is just a wonderful, supportive community, and I hope I meet some new friends in this little challenge. So that being said, I'm probably also not going to tag anybody else. I know that I have a lot of friends in common with some of these creators, and I think dang near everybody that I know has been tagged. And so I'm going to um, let my video be a dead end, just because of having lack of having somebody that I can choose to tag. And I'll see you at the end of the video, and I hope you make it to the end. Please like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing all of your creations in the future. Good morning. Welcome to my scrap heap. So I was tagged by Susan at I Totally Love It to join into the Give a Scrap Hop event. So here's a bunch of scraps that I have. I am very drawn to packaging. There's all kinds of packaging. You can make, this could very easily be a mini journal. You just, or a mini notepad, or a pocket, or some type of tag. I'm not sure what this could be, but there's a definite paperclip element. So that definitely bears looking into. If you had a tag and you wanted to have some type of tuck on it, that would be a wonderful thing. You could just... I'm going to keep that in mind. Not using that today though, but you could. Seed packets, 'tis the season. I know a lot of crafters make these. I think maybe I've made one once. You could open this up and use it as a template, or you could just decorate right on top of it. Maybe punch an eyelet so it could hang somewhere, or attach it to a page that way. You could treat it like kind of like a coin envelope. A lot of different ways you can use that. So when I first got the tag for this challenge, I was thinking about this because there's something that I want to try, and I struggle a lot with new technology. My mom back in the day would use Crayola. It was like a Crayola editing, almost like Photoshop, but it was Crayola, so it was for kids. But we had a lot of fun when my eldest was young. We would make up stories and books and pictures, and it was a lot of fun, and we got to be real experts at that. And then Photoshop came out, and I think the earliest version was very user-friendly, and I'm sure we didn't use most of the features, but so now when I got this idea, I went on Canva and I looked for a film strip. I have these pictures of my parents when they were young. Here's before they were married, I think, or maybe early in their marriage, and then there they are separately. So I managed to get that shrunk down on Canva into a film strip, kind of. Things are definitely not quite right. And then I printed like 6 pages trying to get the right size, and I kept losing the bottom holes. So this venture that I have to use up scraps is creating more scraps, and I guess that's all right. I can always use a white sheet of paper. I can use their pictures in a lot of different things. So it's not the worst thing, but if you were better at the tools that you have, you probably wouldn't run into that problem. I'm more tactile right now. Most of what I do has nothing to do with the computer other than making thumbnails for my videos. So anyway, what I did was I took one of these that got cut off and cut the holes for this side. If you see, it ran off the page. I couldn't get it to move. I just, trying to make it simple. So my thought with this packaging, which was 2 hair clips, was to have something where, see, I still even need to trim it down. Let me trim it down so I can show you. To have this where it feeds through. And I could do a pull on each side so that it never really comes out. So that was my first idea. And then my son has been trying to get his work shoes to be comfortable. And this is one of the packages. And oh my goodness, are you guys crooked? Here, wait. Here. So I actually thought that would be good. So or a combo, right? You have it like this and thread it. I don't know if this piece is necessary if I have this piece. So, good morning. This is the next day. I did go out to work. And a lot of times when I craft in the morning, then when I go to work, I start thinking about what I did and what I want to do. And I think I did a whole bunch of extra stuff that I didn't need to do. So I'll discuss that as we go along. This is nice and flat now. Look how nice it looks. Okay, so the idea is that this is the guide for pulling this through. So let me see if I might need to trim that a little. All right, let's see. Try and get that a little more flexible, if you will. And I don't know what I'm going to do about this. There's like a jump seam there. All right. Okay, so just as a standalone item, you could probably maybe back this one more time and then have pulls. Or pushes. See, it doesn't want to. Okay. Yeah, I don't like how this is got a seam here. I'm gonna have to figure that out. Okay guys, so I'm back. I'm gonna go over a couple things. My husband is a carpenter and has done construction in some way, shape, or form all his life. And so we were discussing the ins and outs of my design and what I'm trying to do. So I've made this, and this is too stiff. What I will say is if you had a way of like printing on vellum, or you had actual negatives, you could do something like this. So this is out, but it does get you thinking about different ways to do things. So I will use this somewhere. So then I had this idea that I was going to do this, and that's great. But then, so this is what I'm going to try and do now, is I'm going to because this needs to be hidden, I need to have something longer, right? I'm going to cut these tabs back off. So I'll cut it down. And then I'm going to make the sliding mechanism actually inside the envelope. And so where this slides determines the length of my envelope. So when you see the last picture, this is how much needs to be covered. I hope this is making sense to you. Okay, so, and then when you go this way, see, that is why it's coming out to be exactly a business size envelope. I'm going to trim them. Now let's check it again. This one does need to be trimmed. Okay. All right. We're going to put this back to work. We're going to take I'm going to go inside. The envelope. I'm just looking through the light, holding it up to the light so I can see where it is. I know. I'm not very precise. I think that's going to work well. And should probably be glued on both sides, but I want to cut this hole first. So let's see. Okay, let's get a ribbon glued to the back of this. I'll leave it really long. Look at that. All right. You know what? Maybe I'll do a thing. Let's see. All right, let me put a little glue in that one section. Okay, so if you look, okay, see how that's floating up? It's going to need another rail. Do another rail. Some of these gluing things would actually do really well to have. I do think that this would probably benefit from two-sided tape, maybe better. So what you can see in here, I'm just putting another one, like this is rails here to keep it. That's what I'm trying to do inside this envelope. What would be easier? To start with a flat paper and have them glued down, but you know. Blood, sweat, and tears, baby. Blood, sweat, and tears. Just doing everything by feel. All right, well, I took the strip off of here, so we are now committed. All right, let's see. I need a little bit of black paint. Or marker. Let's try marker. Okay, so we're going to do this so we know where to put it. Alrighty, so I did a little bit off camera, nothing earth-shattering. I think when I last left, I put in this upper track, so there's 2 tracks in here. And then I did just glue this on. These pictures are of my parents, and they both passed away within the past 2 to 3 years. They were married for 64 years, and I don't know if any of you are country music fans. There's a song called In Color by Jamie Johnson. And that's the song that's been kind of going through my head as I'm creating this. And so like in the song, the gentleman who's singing is talking to his grandpa, and they're going through black and white photos. And this is the refrain. If it looks like we were scared to death, like a couple of kids just trying to save each other, you should have seen it in color. So the funny thing is, all of these pictures were actually color pictures, and I printed them out in black and white. So I'm going to go ahead and get those words on here and complete it, and then go back over everything we've done, everything we could have done, different ways to use packaging. So stay tuned. Alright guys, so I'm going to show you the end result. I literally just finished it. And it may not actually be finished, but it's finished for this video. So here it is. These were just some, I don't know what you call them, labels that I had laying around. So I embellished it. This says Lil, that's mom. That says Al, that's dad. Here's my little song that I told you about. And I had a really good photo of their wedding, but I was afraid it was going to be too small, like of them coming down the aisle at church. And there was one picture of like them coming out of the church, and my dad's got his mouth wide open to catch rice. So maybe for another time. Definitely check out that song by Jamie Johnson. It's kind of a sweet, poignant song about memories. Talks about his wife, and then you have this refrain about you should have seen it in color. So that was my end result for this project. This I didn't use. This had the slidey thing going in my mind. Whatever you pull through there needs to be a little more flexible. But you could use this packaging. You can run ribbon through this and have something. You could have ribbon come down and in, and then maybe you glue or attach something to the ribbon. So that's an idea. Think about CD envelopes. Like I told you I tried to print these a few different times. This would probably look great coming through a CD envelope. Okay, I'll show you it with, the only reason I don't go paperless with State Farm is because of these envelopes. So that's how much I like packaging and envelopes. But you see, you can do it here. And what I like about that is the actual window part. So, you know, just start to think about those things. One thing I ran across in trying to figure out how to slide this. When I was talking to my husband, I said, I'm thinking about the way a typewriter ribbon goes through a typewriter. It comes off the reel, and then it goes over, under, over. I don't know how it goes. I can see it in my head though. And so I was thinking about this type of mechanism that I pointed out to you before as a paper clip. But if you had two slides, that would hold that on track. I hope I'm not being too confusing for you. It's just there's so many different ways that you can go. And when you start to see those things in packaging, it's a wonderful thing. I think most of us had that grandmother that, you know, would save the margarine tubs and then crochet something to it. You know, they knew how to do stuff. They knew how to use what they had and make it into something else. You know, are you familiar with the beer can hats? You know, the pieces of aluminum can with holes punched around, and then they're crocheted, you know. I just think that there's probably 1,000,001 different ideas, and we probably all thought of them and haven't thought of them, and it's just a lot of fun. If you have any other cool ideas for packaging that you want to link below, I'd love to take a look at them. I will be taking a look at everybody's different projects also. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to meeting some new people, and I'll catch you on my next video. Have a great day. I'm just jumping in here with one more thought of a real easy way to do this kind of thing. Two real easy ways. One is if you have some greeting cards that you don't use, and then you could punch a window in it and just run it straight through there. You've already got the structure. You're not trying to recreate anything. So that's one way. Another way that's specific to like kind of like packaging or something that's already pre-made. I'll have to tell you that I probably joined Weight Watchers like 50 times. And I'm just proof that it only worked for about 12 weeks. But anyway, they used to have a thing called the points tracker. And it was kind of like, this. And it had little windows that would be like, I don't know. It would tell you like a 1/4 cup of protein equals however many points. And you could slide it so that you could look at different foods. And those different things would line up to the windows. So that's kind of the type of thing that I'm talking about. And I'm sure they have that for, you know, garden planting guides. I'm sure they have that for conversion, you know, like metric conversion maybe. I can't really specifically think of other ways that they have that kind of slidey thing. But that would be the type of thing that you could definitely reuse. So I'm just dedicating this little video to a couple kids just trying to save each other. They got married right out of high school and had 7 kids. And we're together 64 years. Take care.